Hello, my name is Tracy Schroyer, and I am a breast cancer survivor. And I was diagnosed January 2nd of 2020, 2020 of this year. And I have decided to make some videos, put a series of videos together about my journey. So I'm backtracking through some of the experiences that I've had to date to kind of catch up. So this is one of those videos where I'm backtracking. So it's actually March 21st, but I want to take you back to a week after my surgery. My surgery was actually on February 13th of this year. So about a week later, I had my surgery on February 13th, was just a Thursday. I saw my plastic surgeon for my first follow up on the Friday following that. And when I saw him, everything looked to be healing good, no issues. My drains were continuing to decrease in output, which was good, but they weren't on a spot where it was enough to have them removed yet. So I still had to deal with that. And he had decided, so when I did my surgery, he was able to put in 240 cc's of saline. And so I came out of surgery with a little bit of a bump, not a whole lot. And at that point, looking at it, I mean, I did look at it in the hospital and I looked at it after, but it was better than coming out for me, just mentally, with something rather than being flat, and especially from going into surgery being so big before. So I came out as 240 cc's, saw him, decided not to take the drains out. It wasn't low enough to keep those in for, he wanted to see me 2 weeks later. I actually saw him 10 days later, so it was 4 days short of that 2 week mark. But it ended up because my first visit was on a Friday, and my husband typically works Fridays, so it was easier to see him on a Monday. Typically, most of his patients come in Monday, Friday, and I think sometimes during the day on Wednesday or later in the day or something like that. So shifted to Mondays, since my husband was off work on Mondays and could take me, and I wasn't going to be able to drive for a while. So um, when I did my first follow up, so this was a week and a day after surgery, he had decided that I was looking good, I was feeling good, and to start doing fills, in addition to what he had put in during surgery. So he actually added 60 cc's at that point, so is up to 300. Going into everything with the expanders, preparing to do the surgery for the implants, we had talked about what size I wanted to go. So I had talked to him about what that looked like, and I wanted to do like a full C, maybe even into a D. And I was much, much larger before surgery. So he's like, that seems reasonable with your body type and everything. So we were at 300 cc's. The cc's vary. I said this in another video too. The cc's vary based on the person's height, their weight, and sometimes like how much tissue has been taken out. So it could be different. 300 cc's looks very different on me and may not look as big as somebody who's much shorter and skinnier than I am. So you have to think about all those, and there's no specific chart or anything that tells you how many cc's equals this for somebody who meets all these criteria. I've not come to find anything like that. So it's really, the plastic surgeon was telling me, it's based on how your comfort level is, and you're telling me when to stop. The expanders themselves that I had put in, and most expanders people get, can go up to 800 cc's. That can be way too crazy and big, Dolly Partonish for some people. Other people, it's more realistic or reasonable, based on their size, based on their weight, their height, all of those kind of things that I mentioned. So I wasn't quite sure. I thought that I would probably end up between 450 and 600 cc's. Somewhere in there would be where I wanted to be, whether it was a full C or more into a D or a full D. So he said, you know what, we'll continue to fill and see where you're at, what you feel like. He said, I want you to go home after your fills, whether it's, that day or, I have 2 weeks in between my fills. He said, go home, try on some different shirts. If you wear dresses or whatnot, try on those and look at, he's like, we're not aiming for like roundness or anything like that. He's like, we're aiming for what's the projection, how far out are they going and how far out do you want them to go, that kind of thing. Because the other stuff with the implants fixes the shape and all of that kind of stuff. So at that point, I was 300 cc's after that first visit. So I made an appointment to go back in 2 weeks from then. And when I went back, I was still doing really well. I've been very blessed. Everything's gone very smoothly. And he decided to put 90 cc's in. So after that appointment, so at that point, I was 3 weeks out from surgery and I had 390 cc's. To me, it was very, very small. My chest size, the projection, everything. But I also have to keep in mind that I was huge beforehand in my mind, and probably other people too. So I was trying to think of that and waiting and trying on different shirts and even going from wearing 1X and sometimes 2X shirts down to wearing a large. So that was a whole different thing for me too, to be able to dig out some of those old large shirts and put those on. So at that point, I was 390. And my last visit, again, this was 2 weeks after, he decided to put in 60 cc's. He thought I was getting closer to where I would want to be. So I think that's why he didn't do 90, but he did 60 instead. And put 60 in. And I had told him, I looked down and while I was doing it, because you can kind of see it start to fill out when you're in there and they're putting it in. And the interesting thing too is when he went to put it in on my right breast, I couldn't feel it. A lot of people, they may never get sensation back, couldn't feel it. Sometimes they do a little or something like that. So he went to put it on the left side and I let out a sound and he's like, "Can you feel that?" And I said, "Oh my God, yes, I could feel the needle going in." So I'll explain to you, for those of you that don't know, the tissue expander is really a temporary placeholder until you get the implant. And the purpose of it is you start to add more and more fill to it so it stretches your skin. So it brings your skin to where you can do the exchange, take out the tissue expander and input the implant, and there's room in there and there's a pocket that holds it in there too. So what the doctor does, and I have not really looked for it to feel it or anything, but in the front, and it's typically like I think right above where your nipple is or would be, there are these little ports within the tissue expander. And the doctor takes a little device and puts it over, and it's magnetic, and it finds it. And he puts these 4 dots to draw a circle, and that's where the port goes. So I have to hold my arms really still when he's doing that. So he takes the needle and then takes the syringe and is able to put the needle in there and then slowly insert and put the saline in there. So when he went to do it on the other side, on the left side, I could feel it and I let out a little yelp. Just felt it really going into the skin. So he's like, "Oh, you're getting some of your sensation back there." So he put the 60 cc's. So I'm now at 450 cc's. So I mentioned that 450 to 600 was where I thought, and I thought 600 might even be too much. But I came home and I felt really disappointed, to be honest with you. I'm thankful that I have anything, but when I was looking in the mirror, I'm like, "Oh my God, I feel like I have a cup and I'm used to so much bigger." So I had told somebody this, and I think I've said it too on a Facebook video that I shared, was that I remember when I was so big before that I would wear clothing or jackets or, cover my arms up to hide my huge chest. And I felt like not having a chest, not much of one at least, the same way. It was really, really weird. I told my husband I felt like everybody was looking at me and they knew what was going on. And I was just embarrassed, and it was just really self-conscious to all levels about people seeing me and being worried about seeing me, which is so weird. Um, but somebody else said too, like when you have cancer and you don't go through the chemo and you lose your hair, people don't know how sick you've been and what you've gone through and all of that kind of stuff. People were not looking at me. They didn't give two shits, just a stranger in the store, that kind of thing. It was all in my mind, me being self-conscious, but still it was there and it was at play, that mental mind game. So right now I'm at 450 cc's. I definitely want to continue filling. I guess the good thing too, with everything going on in this world with the coronavirus, is that my surgery to exchange the expanders to go to implants will be delayed much longer than I originally thought, because of the fact that when elective surgeries, which my doctor even said, I've said this before, don't necessarily consider this elective. You did not elect to have breast cancer and to go through all this. But that is the case. And when they start back up, you have all this backlog of people. So depending on how long it goes, it could be a really long time, quite a few months until I'm able to get to the point. So for now, the fact that I have to continue doing fills to get to where I want is just fine. I have the time to do it, and better to get it where I want it than to be disappointed with the results if I stop now. So I do go again. I think this next appointment it's next Friday. So it's 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks from the last appointment. And hoping to get another fill to get up further and kind of see how that is and what I think of that. So that is where I am, and those are the appointments with my plastic surgeon, and kind of bringing you up to date where I am. And I'll continue to do videos and provide you additional updates as I get further along. Thank you for listening. Bye.